So science is very interesting to study. So that's, you might have experienced that in the lower classes. You might have gone to the labs, you have done a lot of experiments, okay, isn't it? So now when you go to a lab, you have to follow few measures. You cannot do anything as it is, isn't it? So you have to think ahead. So what is thinking ahead? You should have the complete knowledge of what you're actually going to do in the lab. So if you don't have a proper knowledge, you should ask questions so that you can understand what actually you're going to do in the lab and what are the things you're going to learn in the lab. So that is the first thing what you have to understand. Okay, the second point is be aware when you go to the lab and all. No, like, you have to keep your workplace absolutely clean, and also if you have long hair and all, you should be extra careful. You have to tie them up, otherwise they may fall into the chemicals, or you might be doing some experiments with the fire and also they may catch fire. So you should tie them properly. And some children, especially boys, will have long sleeves, and also sometimes they won't pull their sleeves up. So that will be a very very great problem, that they all may fall into the chemicals, or so they can easily catch fire. And also you should push them up. So these are the different measures you have to take when you go to the lab. You can say science lab. So the next one is oops. So when you go to the lab and all, no, like, there are chances that you're doing some experiment and suddenly you break a glass. So immediately don't try to take that out. You immediately go and inform your teacher regarding that. So suddenly you might throw some chemical somewhere, or into the eyes of somebody, or into the hands of somebody, on somebody's clothes, and also immediately you go and inform your teacher, so that teacher will know what actually to be done in that particular situation. So if you do something, it may go wrong, and even worse the situation, right? And next one is you have to watch out your eyes, especially. So because it's a science lab, there are a lot of chances that some chemical might fall in your eyes. We have to see our eyes. You have to watch your eyes. So if you go to a lab, some chemical, you'll be working with some chemical, and that chemical might fall into your eyes. So you should be extra careful when you go to the lab. So make sure that you carry goggles to the lab, and use the goggles so that you can cover your eyes. And if by chance, okay, if God forbid something falls into your eyes, so be very cautious and directly go to your teacher and tell the what actually has happened. Otherwise what will happen is you'll be damaging your eyes. So make sure that you go to a teacher and take her help or his help. The physics sir was giving some salts to the children. So he gave some salt to the children and they asked them to taste it. So everybody tasted, and they have to write the order of the salt which is given, and so they wrote it in the book. And again sir gave some other salt, and one student was very very, like, no, you can say very energetic and easily grasping, and also she immediately put that salt in her mouth, which really burnt her mouth like anything. So I actually wanted to tell that smell the salt, and tell him and write what actually they have learned from that. But this girl was no, she was over advanced, okay, over smart, and then she kept all this salt in her mouth, and which really burned her mouth like anything, and the mouth became red in color. So don't do anything until the teacher tells you something to do. So otherwise this kind of accidents may happen in the science lab. Most of the time we have a very good habit of eating, right? When you get a break and all, you carry a lot of eatables with you, like Lays, maybe kurkure, or maybe some other things which are prepared by your mother, some delicious things which will keep your mouth watering. So even you're in the science lab, so you might carry them to your science lab, and you'll be touching some chemicals, and again you'll be eating something. So that's not advisable at all. So it's always better that you don't carry any of the eatables to the science lab. So always you remain away from that, and that's a really very bad habit. So don't ever do that. So many times, like, it's if it's a lab, like, you'll be handling the electrical appliances, isn't it? So even from 6th class also, you'll be taught how the electricity works, and also you'll be using the plugs and wires, and also you should be extra cautious. So you should know what to do until your teacher tells something to do. Until then, you know you should not do anything. So you should be very careful regarding the electric appliances and when you do the electrical experiment. Okay, children, the next is you should keep your work area clean. So, if you're in a lab, you make sure that you keep your work area clean. So, you may spill out some chemicals, you may spill out some liquids and all over there, here and there. So, you should be extra cautious doing all these things. And also, but anyhow, if you work in a clean and neat environment, that will be good. So, always clean your place where you are doing these experiments, and also that'll be good. Okay, so these are all the things which you have to keep in your mind, so that you can have a very good science experiment. Otherwise, so you may come in contact with some chemicals, or accidents might take place. Okay, you might get some shocks and all. So all these things might happen, so you should be really extra careful regarding all these things. So hope you all understood this lesson. So there's one thing which is left, and which will be doing it tomorrow, that is scientific method. So how the method which is followed by the scientist to do an experiment, to do a discovery or an invention, that method is called as a scientific method, which we'll be discussing tomorrow. Okay, see you until then. Bye.